let me bring it down to Nigeria, where we're all familiar with. Do they have a Lagos spirit, a Gra spirit?
Let's say they have a Niger spirit.
I'm not sharing it. I'm not sharing it. Nothing will come from sharing it because already they don't see a problem with their situation.
No, but there was a coup in Niger. No? There was Niger, Burkina Faso.
Yeah, but those are the military people. Those are the military, not the individuals itself.
What makes you think they are dumber? What makes you think they cannot make rational decisions?
2,000 years of civilization tells us that human beings are vulnerable to misinformation, to demagoguery, and things of that nature, right?
So if someone thinks that aliens have 17 heads, they're going to be looking for information that confirms that aliens have 17 heads. So it's not that they are dumb. Just because you believe that aliens should have only one head, and the other person thinks that aliens have 17 heads, automatically they're dumber. Like who's to say what is right? Because they can give you facts to support their assertions.
You shouldn't be laughing at today.
All right, on that note, welcome everybody to another episode of Scatteryan. Hope you're having a beautiful and wonderful day. If you're not, we're sending positive energy your way. I'm your guy and the host that you love the most, Toves. In today's episode, we're going to be having a conversation about information and accessibility to information. And joining me to Scatteryan about this are some of my friends and your dearest friends as well. Let's begin with the man who has a lot of to say. Arinze, how are you doing, my friend?
Hey, I'm doing good. Thanks for the invite once again.
All right, fantastic. It's always good to have you here. And we also have the one that we call the longest, Mr. Seun T. How are you doing today?
It's very early in the morning, but I'm good. I'm glad to be here, Dr. Toves.
Right, fantastic. Thank you very much for coming. We also have someone who likes to talk with her face. She doesn't like pizza, but although she talks about pizza a lot. Seke, how are you doing today?
Hi, I'm good.
Fantastic. Thank you for joining. Thank you for tuning in to Scatteryan today. And as always, you can join the conversation by leaving your own comments and thoughts in the comment section below. Press the like button while you're scrolling down. Subscribe if you're new or yet to do so. And if you don't want to leave your comments on YouTube, you can do it on social media as well, following the social media link in the description below. As I said, we're going to be discussing information and accessibility to information. And so let me create this little scenario for the panel and for you at home, and you can participate as well. So bear with me, there's this little story I'm going to read through. Right. So in the nearest future, in a dystopian future where the world has been ravaged by environmental disasters and oppressive regimes, the internet is now a scarce resource. Only a privileged few have access to it, while the majority live in information darkness. Now, here comes our protagonist. Let's call her Nana, right? Nana stumbled upon a hidden network that promises to change everything. Nana is a brilliant hacker, and she discovered this underground network while she was, playing around with computers in that dystopian future. And the underground network is called Information. Now, Information was a secret gateway to the internet, only accessible to those who knew its location. And so it's only the elite that were using the Information network, but everyone else that did not have the privilege could not access that kind of information. And so Maya followed some of the clues that she found from her own hacking endeavor, which led her to that underground network. And she actually found a message from her older brother who had disappeared a few months prior. And the message said, Nana, you've come this far, but now you face the ultimate choice. Information can be shared with the world, but it will also expose them as well. The authorities is going to hunt them down. So she has the choice of either to keep the network hidden or to preserve the power to the selected few. If you were in Nana's situation, what would you do? Are you going to keep the information hidden, or you're going to make the information public knowing that they can come and hunt you down?
It's giving Terminator message from the future or something.
Mhm.
And I guess but I assume in this world you're describing, the premise is that information is a valuable resource, right?
Mhm.
And the choice is, does Nana keep this valuable resource to herself and put herself in danger, or share the resource with everyone in the world and expose them to danger? Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think she should share it to everyone in the world. I mean, if it's as valuable a resource as it appears in this, what you're describing, then share it to everyone. Information is power to an extent, even though they are exposed to the authorities. I think that information could also help them get around it.
All right. So what are you
Mhm.
going to do, Seki?
I don't know. It depends. It depends on how I feel at the time. I might share it. The humanitarian in me wants to share it. The side of me that doesn't want to be hurt wants to keep it to myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go
Mhm.
with how old when I'm sharing it. If I'm like 50, I'll share it. But if I'm still in my 30s, then I'm keeping it to myself. Because I
No,
just
no, but like
to live.
it works as a metaphor for the way the internet works right now, in the sense
Yeah,
that
but I don't. I just
many
want to
people
hear.
be
We'll go there, Sean. I just want to hear what Arinze has to say, and then we'll actually branch out into the deeper conversations of it. What would you do if you were in Nana's situation? Are you sharing, or are you going to go with self-preservation?
Me personally, I think the perspective I'm looking at it from is, if I'll first of all have to observe and know the temperature of the citizens that are oppressed. What kind of spirit do they have? Do they have a docile spirit? Do they have a fighting spirit? Are they?
Yes, there's scarce resources. Just think about,
Yeah, but
Divergent situation. Yeah, have you seen
let me
Divergent?
get
That's
yeah,
yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
let me give you an example of what I mean by that. Do they have, like, let me bring it down to Nigeria where we're all familiar with? Do they have a Lagos spirit, a gra spirit of, in as much as things and one plus one is not always two, they
No,
still
let's
know
let's
that,
say
like,
let's say
two.
they have a Niger spirit. A
I'm not
Niger
sharing it.
spirit.
I'm not sharing it. Nothing. Nothing will come from it.
Hmm.
Nothing will come from sharing it, because already they don't see a problem with their situation.
no, but
Hmm.
there was a coup in Niger. No? There was
Right.
Niger was one of the countries that had a Niger, Burkina Faso,
Yeah, but those are the military people. Those are the military, not the individuals
right?
itself.
Right.
Okay.
Do
So
you
so
understand what I
so
mean?
yes. Arinze,
But what I
you've actually yeah. Go on. You finish your point and
sorry,
then I'll
but
go.
to just finish my point, what I'm trying to say is, if I know that the people that are oppressed do have a fighting spirit, share it. If they don't have a fighting spirit, they're like very adaptable. They're like docile. They're meek spirited. There's no point sharing it. Nothing
A
will come
fighting
out of it.
spirit doesn't come from a fighting spirit doesn't come from nowhere. No, right? My understanding of this world that
Mhm,
Tokato is creating is that you're living
mhm,
at the mercy of the elites, who, for example, know how to make toothpaste because they have access to the knowledge. Whereas you, the masses, don't
mhm,
know how to make a table or a chair or anything because
mhm,
you don't have any information. So there's no fighting spirit. Like, things you're fighting over are probably like base needs. You have no concept of what you don't even have.
Yes.
Um,
So I'm going to piggyback on that as well, and what Ariza said, because he made a point. What is the situation of the people? And that actually raises the question. The core of this particular episode for me is, why do people think that there are certain group of humans that cannot handle information? There is that, because you notice that around the world there are certain governments that limit access to certain parts of the internet because they believe that the people don't know how to use the information. So let's take Nigeria for example. During the previous regime, the president decided to limit social media, Facebook, Twitter, because in their mind, they're not using Twitter for what it's meant to be. They're not using the access to information in the right way. And you have places like North Korea where you can't tweet freely or read news information, Russia, China, they have limits to certain information that they can have. So why is there the perception that humans can't make rational decisions with the amount of information that they can have access to?
this is one of my more
In your own perspective, or it's someone else's perspective, it doesn't matter. But yes, go
this is
on,
one of
Sean.
my more conservative like opinions, because while the examples you're bringing up, North Korea, China, Russia, these are Nigeria's example. These are bad examples, but I actually think that the government has a responsibility to an extent to manage the information ecosystem. Um, I believe that
100%.
like I believe that human beings are generally stupid. People are not the
Yeah.
smartest, and people in
Mhm.
large groups are even, because something
Even
about human
dumber.
behavior. Yeah, we feed off each
But
other's
that's the
like
question. What makes you think they are dumber? What makes you think they cannot make
no
rational
two
decisions?
two
I think
thousand
that's the
years
question.
of 2,000 years of civilization tells us that human beings are vulnerable to misinformation, to demagoguery, and things of that nature, right? Like people human beings are not like truth seeking creatures by nature. We are affirmation seeking creatures.
Comfort.
The
Yeah.
conversation
Comfort
the
seeking.
conversation
Yeah.
we are having earlier about some fun time activities, right? The way it works, the way things that we want to do things that we like. We want to do things that make us feel good. We gravitate towards things that affirm our own biases. So just having access to information, there's a comprehension that is in between you receiving the information and the information itself. So you have to be able to process it. You have to be able to understand what you're hearing. And you have to be able to use that information in a positive or useful way. Not just like that you're hearing it, right? So for example, if there were aliens, I think the government shouldn't tell everybody. Right? If the US government did have aliens in their basements, keep it to yourself. During COVID also, for example, if you're some quack doctor that is telling everybody how they should drink salt to cure their COVID. No, I'm not going to let you spread that information on the internet because we're in an emergency time. There's a virus going around killing people, and we need to manage what kind of information people are getting because people are vulnerable right now. So yeah, I think there's a balance to be found between free speech and controlling information, but controlling information is required and important.
I
Right. And
agree.
Seki, where do you come into all of this?
What I'm getting from it is like the influence. So the internet influences people positively and negatively. A lot of people take like uninformed, make uninformed decisions. So like
Mhm.
Sean said, drinking salt. Some people would hear, oh, they said drink salt, so they'll go and drink a ton of salt and then end up in the A&E, dehydration, high blood pressure,
Mhm.
things like that. So I'm looking at more the influence that people have or what they take from the information that they receive.
Mm.
So far, everyone is saying there's a herd mentality. There is people don't have the ability to control the information that they've got that they're being disseminated. There's demagoguery there. So to me, what I'm hearing is the problem or the issue in my own perspective is not that people don't have the capacity to understand the information or disseminate. The issue is the way the information is given to them because it's just
No,
information, isn't it? It's the way it's given to them.
no, the
Because
issue is
at the end of
people.
the day, we are emotional and social beings. We try to go towards the things that we're looking forward to. We have this confirmation bias. So if someone
Mhm.
thinks that um, aliens have 17 heads, they're going to be looking for information that confirms that aliens have
Yeah.
17 heads as a random example. So it's not that they are dumb. Just because you believe that aliens should have only one head, and the other person thinks aliens have 17 heads, automatically they're dumber. Like who's to say what is right? Because they can give you facts to support their assertions. You can also give them facts that supports their assertion. And so for me, the main issue for me is the kind of information that people are getting. And that links to the next question about control. Who should control information? Should it be restricted? And who should be responsible for giving out information? Should we not be making up our own stuff? Should we based on fact? But as I just said, right, fact depends on who is giving out the facts. Because every election cycle, the same statistics will be manipulated
Mm.
by the different political parties. It's facts, but said in different ways. So, how do we
Bro.
regulate the information as the correct information? Who controls this information?
I think what I'm picking up is that it's an enormous responsibility, right? Like that's really what it's about. So if you're in government, you have a huge responsibility essentially to your citizens. And you could either go the China, North Korea style, where everybody must be happy with the government. You're not allowed to say anything critical. You're not allowed to cause because like the premise of authoritarian government is this argument that we're having, right? That mass sentiment, the masses are problematic, so you need to control the information so you don't rile people up. And in Western countries, they have to deal with the fact that Yeah, information is a lot more free, but at the same time, it means that these societies are more dynamic or more volatile. And the argument is that these type of dynamic societies are better because it breeds innovation, etc., etc. So it's an enormous responsibility, and I think sometimes governments try to hide things from people. If the government has intelligence on the imminent arrival of a bomb, the public needs to know so people can go into their shelters. Or if it's coronavirus, right? There's a virus that we've tracked, it's on its way here. The public needs to know. And the government has all sorts of like disclosure responsibilities because the government is supposed to be of the people. So what happens during the
Right.
minutes of these cabinet meeting? It's supposed to be public information. All those kind of things, people have a right to know. But to Dr. To's question about where should we get the information from on the internet, should we be doing our own research, all of that, I think part of the damage that the internet has done in this our era is to make people think that anyone can just be their own scientist, anyone can be their own researcher. So you don't have to rely on expertise anymore, right? If you want to know
Mhm.
what has to do with a virus, for example, go and do your own research. If you want to know the economic situation, go and do your own research. I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think the problem is reading comprehension. So you should be able to read something, understand what the point of view of the person writing is from, the message you're trying to convey, the weakness in their position, and what your own feeling is, instead of saying, "Oh, this story." So think of the things that like the misinformation that came out in America and like in Nigeria. Hillary Clinton was killing babies under a pizza shop, in DC, and somebody went there and shut it up. Or that Barack Obama is not an American because his parents, because he was actually born in Kenya, or these fake news about Peter Obi here or Atiku there or things like that. So yeah, people need to be able to trust the experts more, and it's difficult, right? Because when
But we can't really say trust the experts, because what if the experts are giving you false information and you're just trusting the experts because they are supposedly experts?
That's why I said it's an enormous responsibility, right? And it's really relies on good faith, like because the type of society that we like to live in, the Western, the ideal is a good faith system where I know that I'm not doing anything to harm you. And I can trust that in your own interaction with me, you're not looking to shank me, right? And so we can operate in good faith. So you go into a role of authority, a policeman, a judge, a somebody, and we're trusting you not to steal 20 million from this thing because nobody's watching you there. And if you wanted to, as Nigerian politicians demonstrate, you could, but we're trusting that you wouldn't do that because you're invested in the betterment of everybody. So it relies entirely
Yeah.
on good faith, and I know that that's a weakness, but yeah, it has to be based
Okay.
on people's own good character.
Mm. I think my approach to this on the question that you asked on whose responsibility should it be to disperse the information. I feel because of the way the world is and because of the way we naturally human beings are, which we're political animals, every little thing we do, our personal biases come into it. So even the most well-intentioned person can have their opinions or can have an objective position that they think is objective, be a little bit tainted. Obviously, there are checks and balances to make sure it's not just opinion and it's actually factually based. But
Mhm.
my approach to this would be the capitalist approach in the sense of let everything out, good, bad, ugly, great, nonsense. And then if you're that invested in knowing the truth, go and seek the truth.
All right
I
then.
feel like letting everything out is the best way people can figure out what works and what doesn't work. Because now it's been proven that the professionals or the people who study these things, they can be tainted. They can be
No, but
tainted.
They have the
anybody
skill
can
to
be tainted
manipulate the
now.
numbers.
Do you
Yes.
understand?
Anybody can be
Why?
tainted. Though. Arinze, I wanted to end
Exactly.
your free information thing just a little because, like,
Go ahead.
free information and profit motive they're at conflict, right? If
Mhm.
my motive is to make as much profit as I want, that relies on you not knowing, having full information. That's what the government basically, the
Mhm.
role the government is meant to play in a capitalist system as a referee, essentially saying, Mr. Capitalist, if you're producing a medicine that you say will make my hair grow, it has to actually make my hair grow. You can't just bullshit, and it cannot be my responsibility as a consumer to go and research what tetracycline, the ingredient that you said is in cream, whether or not it actually
Yeah.
does what you're saying it does. So somebody has to
Mhm.
be a mediator in that case. It can't be just free information entirely.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm not asking for the Wild West out here. I'm not saying the government agencies should take a step back. I'm saying the professionals should give out what they have deemed amongst themselves as objective fact. Yeah, the wackos who think the professionals are wrong should give out what they think is objective facts.
No,
obviously,
you cannot have
naturally,
professional
because
versus
of
wacko.
So,
Like
huh?
professionals went to school
sorry
for
guys,
8 years.
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to interject and like round up the conversation. I apologize. I know it's very, very interesting and deep conversation. We are going to continue to explore this conversation in future episodes, and you tell us what you think. Like in terms of accessibility to information, should it be regulated? Is it dependent on individual? Should it take a capitalistic point of view, as Arinze is saying? Or is it that people just don't have the knowledge to be able to filter and comprehend information? You let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Join the conversation. And based on the conversation that's been having so far, just a quick would you rather question to see if these guys truly have some belief in what they're saying. Let's have a quick one. Would you rather have internet access that focuses on only education and research, or internet access that only focuses on social media?
I'm not gonna lie. Social media is a huge part of my life, based on how much it makes me laugh.
Hmm.
I'm not going to pretend that I do a bit part of research, information and information gathering, but it's on a need to know basis. I'm not out here trying to find out what the fun facts of the world are. I
All
don't
right.
care.
So you rather
So,
laugh than have facts.
man, gone to my head. I'd rather laugh than have facts, honestly.
Since Dr. Toves didn't put any constraints, I'll try and eat my cake and have it. I mean,
You can't play the
I'll
middle,
first
yes.
call.
Yeah, exactly.
No. I'm not gonna play the middle now. I say I want to eat my cake and have it. Like nobody wants to just do research. Like that's it doesn't happen. That's why the people who do it, like a handful, who are researchers for life.
Yep.
And I think with social media, I can eat my cake and have it. So social media is where I get a lot of news from because I follow the journalists that put the news. There's lots of like scientists on social media. In fact,
Yes,
people now understand that
would you rather
the way
is
to communicate.
would you rather is the social media is prioritizing entertainment. So there is no like, oh, do you know that 2 times 2 is no.
No, but you
It's
asked
only
me.
prioritizing
Okay, now you're
Sabinus
putting constraints.
and then people.
Lemon,
No, I said
you
the one
can't
that
you can't
prioritized.
snake your way out of
Yeah,
this one.
look
Pick
at
one.
him. Yeah,
Are you a fun guy or
a
a
fat guy.
study guy? Pick
No,
one. Me,
that's the thing.
I've chosen a
My,
fun guy. I'm a
no,
fun
because
guy.
my social media diet, like my media diet, is very very large. Like I'm literally always consuming some form of media or the other. So it varies from like there's this video of this dog in Vietnam. And the owner is always breaking glass and then putting the dog in trouble. And it's a real dog, and the dog is very so like it's bullshit from like bullshit videos on TikTok to things that are informative. So I can
So
have
which
it
one would
all.
you rather have? But
Yeah.
which one would you rather have?
I rather have
In
social
this
media,
situation, you
I
guys have been
guess.
saying information should be restricted and all those one.
I rather have social
It's just
media.
social media. Though. Social
Okay.
media all day.
Okay, so all those ones we're saying. Anyways, the next one then. Would you rather, since we started with the dystopian future, let's end with a dystopian future type of would you rather. So would you rather have internet access like implanted in your brain, like Neuralink, or would you rather just continue to have it on your hand? So
No,
basically when
I'm
you
good
think of an
stuff.
information, you have it straight in your mind. Which
I
one
don't
would you
like
rather have?
I don't like anything messing with my mind. I hold it on my hand. I'm good.
It's not messing, it's just an implant just there. Like think pop,
Nope.
you know.
Nope. It's intrusive. I don't want it.
Sean, are you in that school of thought? Are you going with Arinze?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it depends, right? When is this chip coming out? If it's the one that Elon Musk has today, no, I'm not doing it.
No.
But if it's 30 years from now, 50 years from now, yeah, definitely. I have faith in the process that leads to products coming to the market. Um, and I feel pretty confident, if such a product becomes available decades from now, it would be safe for me to use. The liability would be considered. There will be protections against exploitation by whoever it is that controls it. So yeah, somebody's not going to press a button somewhere and I'll become immediately under their control. So
Do you
yeah,
understand?
I'll take the chip.
Right. Hope you enjoyed the conversation today. Feel free to give your own opinion as well on if you think information should be accessible to everyone, or if it should be regulated and controlled by people that are trusted experts, in quote. But until the next episode, keep seeking useful information. Use your brain. SCFR.
Use it so you don't
All
lose
right.
it. Yeah, so.